welcome back to our podcast, Redeemed. We're still in Job. Job. He's been
going through it.
Yeah, he's been going through it. Everything's been taken away, and we got to the part where his friends came down. They were talking to him, and
real joyous fellows.
Yeah, they're not great friends. They're not who I would call when times got
and
tough.
we talked about how the older ones, for that time, that was about the only thing they could come up with as to why Job was suffering, was that he had done something wrong and that God was trying to bring him back around. And Job was persistently telling them, no, he didn't mess up.
I didn't do it.
He doesn't know what's going on. And then we have the entry of the last friend, which I think he's important to note, because his approach is a little different than the others. And and it's interesting to see what happens a little later on. But it seems like Elihu takes more of God's side in this whole debate.
Smart man.
Yeah.
It's a good side to take.
That's a win.
Mm-hmm. And he had a better understanding of the grace and mercy than the other three did. Now, I think from what I can tell from the commentaries and what I can read, he still believed that Job had done something wrong, but he was also allowing God to have the grace and mercy work in there as well. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because if you read it, he was one of the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he spends a whole chapter talking about how he was the youngest.
Because I guess if you do a little research on that, it was disrespectful for the youngest to talk.
Essentially, yes.
Mm-hmm.
In this time, yeah.
But he became angry, is what it says here. It says, after the three men...
he was angry with them, too.
Yeah.
He was angry with everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting this right.
Yeah. And mostly it's because they couldn't refute Job, so Job had won the debate.
Yep.
And so that irritated him. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, he became very angry with Job for justifying himself rather than God. Like I said, he was taking God's side.
Team God.
Yeah. God. Because he was furious for two reasons. First, Job claimed that he was innocent and that God had no reason for punishing him. That claim called God's character into question. Second, Job's friends had mishandled the debate and lost the argument.
And, it's not just that they had lost it, but they had still condemned him after they had lost.
Yep.
There was, how does it say it? They had found no way to refute Job and yet had condemned him. So it's like, well, we got nothing on you, Job, but clearly you did something, so you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
We have no proof.
No.
Yeah, no proof.
You're telling us you didn't do anything, but clearly you did.
We're obviously right.
And Elihu hated that because, mostly because it called it
same
question.
Reason. Yeah, it calls God's character into question, which
and
he wasn't a fan of.
Yeah, because basically he was telling Job, who are you to call God's character into...
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Point Elihu.
Mm-hmm. And so, of the friends, this guy seemed to be the closest on track here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we were talking about here just a few minutes ago. It's always good to choose God's side. If you're going to defend somebody,
Defend God.
Yeah. Not that he really needs us to, but that's probably the best call. And
he'll be all right if we're not on.
And it was interesting because he turned out, of the three, there's four friends I think in all. Of the four friends that came to visit, he was the one that came out looking the most intelligent.
Real good.
Was he a friend?
It doesn't say.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm. Just says he was son of that guy, Barakel the Buzite, of the family of Ram. It never really lists him as a friend.
I wonder if he was. Or just a guy.
It'd be an even better story if he was just a passerby.
Just a random guy that happened to hear
whoa,
the whole conversation.
Whoa. Everybody sit down. What are we talking about? I don't think that was
and
the
they're
case.
like, who is this guy?
Yeah. Just some random passerby sat down with him.
Yeah, it doesn't really say. It just says, it actually, then the commentary asks who was Elihu. It's the last of Job's challengers to appear. He was the only one with a Hebrew name. It means he is my God. He was a Buzite, a descendant of Abraham's nephew Buz, or Buz. I don't know how you say that, B-U-Z. So, Never really lists him as a friend, but
Interesting.
So the other three friends, as I'm reading here, the other three friends seemed interested in only quieting Job and defending God's right to punish the wickedness. Punish the wicked, Elihu was concerned about justice, not only clearing Job, but also clearing up the negative view of God that had been presented so far. Elihu believed that God is gracious and would redeem Job if he repented. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
it's real good.
And, so what does this mean for us as redeemed Christians? What does this mean? Well, in my mind, you're going to come upon situations where people are going to have problems. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they're going to want your opinion. Because believe it or not, I think Job did want their opinion. Because at the point at where Job was, he just wanted answers.
Yeah, he couldn't figure out why all these things were happening. Things were going well. I mean, we know he didn't do anything wrong. He knows he didn't do anything wrong. And all of a sudden, everybody around him's dying. His body hurts. Life kind of sucks right now.
Yep. And so these friends give their opinion, and it's the wrong opinion. And that's kind of what I want to camp out on.
And they were treating their opinion more as fact as well.
Exactly.
That was part of the problem.
I mean, there was no. It's like he said here. They were about defending God and His right to punish the wicked.
Yep.
And Elihu was on the other side saying, no, it's about justice. You know what I'm saying? And there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
And the goal for us as redeemed Christians is we want to make sure that we give the right advice. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because I don't know what would have happened if Job had actually believed his friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where that would have led.
Could have spiraled real quick.
Yeah, real quick. But of course he didn't, because he knew where he stood with God.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're going to see how God gets a little tired of Job's whining.
God is going to re-enter. God is about to enter the chat.
Yes. And
He's got some stuff to say.
And he's fixing to set it straight. But I just think as redeemed Christians, we better make sure that we're giving the right advice. Amen. And the only place I can say to make sure that you're giving the right advice is the Bible.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If you compare the two answers, the one from Elihu is way more closer to Scripture than
the other three.
Yeah, the others were more of an opinion.
Yes.
Where it seemed like Elihu was bringing concepts from the Scriptures and laying them out before Job.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying Elihu was right, but he was closer.
He was a lot more right than the other three.
Right, absolutely.
As we find out later.
And so we just have to be careful, because there are going to come points in our time, especially with lost people who are going to come to you looking for answers. And you better make sure that your answers match up with the Scripture.
Yes.
Because the minute they don't, you're going to have the issue of maybe leading them astray. And we definitely don't want to do that.
No.
You're going to be held responsible.
We're held responsible for that.
The Bible is very
just
clear.
like his three friends here very
Yes.
soon are going to be held responsible for their response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are.
So, but we'll get to that on the next one, so stay tuned for the next one.
Plug.
All right, so be careful of the advice you give. Make sure that it is backed up with the Scripture, and make sure that you're always on God's side. You know what I'm saying?
Team God.
Team God. All the way.
Print the shirts.
All right, y'all guys have a great week. We'll see you next time.